Welcome back, everybody, to the Baltimore Orioles franchise here on MLB The Show 21. Today we have the season recap episode for year number 1 as the first season of the series is in the books and we approach our very first off-season. My initial plan was for the next episode after the previous one to be the off-season, and I wanted to lump the season recap and the off-season together, but there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about in this season recap, so I figured it would be more fair to split them up into 2 separate videos. My original plan was to have the offseason premiere tomorrow on Friday, but I will be moving that back to Sunday. So the offseason episode will be premiering here on YouTube Sunday, probably middle of the afternoon. I hope you guys are excited about it because we had a very exciting offseason. I already pre-recorded it, so I know what happened. But I think you guys are really going to like it. But let's talk about this season recap and let's kind of dive into what we saw here in year number 1 and what we need to accomplish in the offseason. So going into the year, we knew that we were not a very good ball club. We were the worst ranked team in the game, and sure enough, we went 57-105, which is pretty much to be expected. This team has seen a lot of turnover throughout this season. We've totally revamped the farm system. We've added a lot of new young faces onto the team, and the squad that we started with at the beginning of the year does not look like the squad we have now. I think we're a lot better equipped for the future, even if that meant we really had to have a bad season this year. I think a lot of young players were able to grow, not only at the big league level, but also the minor league level. We will be doing a minor league recap as well today. But let's start with the big leagues. So here is the playoff bracket, by the way. No Orioles in there. Hashtag shocker. I know, major surprise. Let's take a look at the standings real quick around the league. So the Yankees ended up winning the AL East. It was fairly close. The Blue Jays almost won the division. They were also one game out of a wild card spot. And they're, as of bottom, only 36 games behind the Yankees for the division. The White Sox ended up winning the Central. The Twins got a wild card spot, and then in the AL West, the Astros won the division, and the Angels got the second wild card spot. The Angels and Blue Jays were fighting for that second wild card spot for a while, and the Angels ended up winning it by a game. Braves win the NL East, Cubs win the NL Central, Dodgers win the NL West, and the NL wild card game will be between a pair of West teams as the Padres host the Giants. The Mets, Cardinals, and Brewers were all fairly close behind. Here's a look at the league leaders. Trey Mancini is 3rd in at-bats and 2nd in hits for the AL, so that's pretty cool. Mancini played all 162 games this year, so that is to be expected considering he had a good season. Mike Trout hit like 340. His OPS is noticeably higher than everybody else, which at this point is to be expected with Mike Trout because he is absolutely incredible, and he was the best player in baseball again this year. His on-base percentage was like 45%, just absolutely incredible. Mike Trout is an absolute glitch. It's unfortunate that Shohei Ohtani sucks when it comes to pitching in this game because his pitching numbers are always so bad in MLB The Show. I think his ERA was in the 6s this year, and it's not like he just had bad luck in year 1 of this series. It's been every MLB The Show game since he joined the Angels that his ERA and his WHIP are always ridiculously high. Here are the NL stats. It looks like Freddie Freeman and Cody Bellinger, the previous 2 MVP winners, seem to be at the top, along with Christian Yelich, who had a very high OPS as well. So it seemed like it was Freeman, Bellinger, and Yelich pretty much battling it out to see who the best hitter in the National League was. Jacob deGrom led in strikeouts. Clayton Kershaw appears to be back in his peak. He led in a number of categories, including WHIP and pitching WAR. Cody Bellinger led in batting WAR. Can someone please explain to me how Mike Trout finished 3rd in MVP? I mean, Yordan Alvarez and Luke Voit were both very good, but I feel like Trout's really getting disrespected there. Garrett Cole wins the Cy Young. Akil Baddoo of the Tigers wins Rookie of the Year, with Santiago Rivera finishing in 2nd. That's very good to see. Rivera really improved throughout the year. He struggled early, but in August and September, he was really impressive. I'm surprised Adley Rutschman did not make the Rookie of the Year watch. I know Rivera's numbers were a little bit better, but I would have thought Rutschman possibly would have gotten 3rd. Unfortunately, Rivera is the only one of our players to reach the top 3 for any award. I feel like Trey Mancini got disrespected for first base Silver Slugger. I feel like he should have finished somewhere in the top 3. Cody Bellinger wins his 2nd MVP award. Jacob deGrom wins the Cy Young. Freddie Freeman takes the batting title. Colton Welker wins Rookie of the Year. I think had Santiago Rivera played in the NL, he probably would have won that award. The NL rookies were not great this year. It seems like the rookies in the AL were a lot better. Eugenio Suarez is on the Braves now. I did not even notice that. There was not a pop-up for that trade during the season, which is weird because Eugenio Suarez is a highly rated player, but oh well. Here are the rest of the NL awards. Not really a ton of surprises. Nick Castellanos winning a Silver Slugger is interesting, but he is a really good hitter, and his numbers definitely reflect that, and he did deserve it. So let's take a look at our team now. Let's take a look at the numbers for our Orioles. I think it kind of goes without saying that our lineup was not great this year, but Trey Mancini was great. Plus 11 contact versus lefties, plus 9 power versus lefties. He hit .298 with 34 home runs, 93 RBIs. And I think the most remarkable thing about this season for him is that he played 162 games. Last year, he was in chemotherapy, and this year, not only does he play at an all-star level, but he plays all 162 games. I mean, that is just absolutely incredible and mind-blowing to me. Mancini will be a free agent after the 2022 season, and I feel like he has a ton of trade value. It's probably higher now than it ever will be, but I really feel like Mancini can be the veteran leader of this team going forward, and I do think even though he is already 29 years old, he's going to be 30 next year, I think he can be a building block for the future because he's not getting worse yet, and he had an outstanding season this year, and I think he can be pretty much the captain and the emotional leader of this team. Other than that, nobody else was really all that impressive. Austin Hayes was fine. He hit for good power. Willie Calhoun was a solid trade deadline acquisition. Ryan Mountcastle was banged up, but even when healthy, he was a little bit disappointing. 246 average, 288 on base percentage. Anthony Santander was also banged up, but when healthy, he was pretty good. Adley Rutschman had a solid rookie year. He hit the ball pretty well down the stretch, finishing with an average of 267 with an on-base percentage of 333 and an OPS of 733. For a catcher, those are pretty good numbers, but you have to take into account that he's a rookie catcher. So I think if Adley Rutschman can improve this offseason, I think in a full season, he can be one of the, top 10 catchers in baseball as soon as next year. And although we did call him up pretty early in the season, I think it was June, clearly he's major league caliber and ready, and now that he's going to be the official everyday starting catcher next year, I'm really excited to see what he can end up doing for us and see how he continues to improve in his young major league career. So a good season for Adley Rutschman for sure. He also improved a lot, as you can see, plus 6 contact versus righties, plus 4 power versus righties, and overall I was quite impressed with him. As I mentioned, Santiago Rivera improved tremendously this season. He made his debut, I think, in early July, and by the end of July, he was hitting like 150. He was able to get that up to 250, which is really impressive to me. And overall, I think Santiago Rivera had a really solid year, and I'd be very comfortable with him as the everyday starting third baseman next year. You may notice Jahmai Jones was missing there because, for whatever reason, the game decided to send certain players down at the end of the year. I don't know why. Jones was with the Major League team all year, and he was very disappointing, barely hitting over 200. The power was not terrible. He did hit 11 home runs, but for someone who's only 23 years old, I would expect your rating to go up, and his rating did not go up. It stayed at a 72. His hitting stats got worse, most notably losing 6 to his contact versus lefties. I was very confident that Jahmai Jones would be a long-term piece on this team going into the series, but here after year one, I don't know. Let's take a look at the pitching now. We did not have a lot of consistency with the pitching, and I think the starting rotation and the bullpen was overall the weak link of this team. The lineup was not great, but I don't think it was terrible either. The pitching was terrible, but John Means was solid, 10-12 record, 3.80 ERA, 1.19 whip. Means was very good down the stretch this season as well, and he's really the only guy I'm confident in going forward. I will say, though, the Michael Fulmer acquisition at the trade deadline really proved to be a good one. Fulmer entered our rotation in late July, and he did not look back. 2.64 ERA, 0.96 whip. I think the only two players who I'm for sure going to have in the starting rotation next year are John Means and Michael Fulmer. Those are the only two guys I'm sold on. Everybody else is going to have to compete. Reynaldo Lopez, Jorge Lopez, Tom Eshelman, guys like that. Travis Lakins had a solid year as our closer, 31 saves, 3.16 ERA, 1.19 whip. He's really the only guy I'm confident that will return in the bullpen next year, and I really feel like this pitching staff is going to get a much-needed makeover. Again, there were a few players sent down at the end of the year, Matt Harvey and Bruce Zimmerman. Neither of them were very good. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on them. Harvey is our only actual free agent this offseason, and I don't really have any plans on bringing him back because he was not very good. So let's talk about the minor league teams now, the AA and the AAA squads. Overall, I think our minor league teams had a really good season. Neither of them made the playoffs, but they both finished over 500. The AA Bowie Bay Sox went 64-56. We lost our last 4 games, which is unfortunate, but the AA team is actually ranked as the number 1 AA team in all of baseball. The Norfolk Tides up in AAA went 75-67, barely losing out on the division. We were the 28th ranked AAA team, so to go over 500 there is really impressive. So let's take a look at the minor league stats here. And overall, I think we had a lot of young guys play really well. Adam Hall had a nice year. Marco Luciano, in my opinion, was very impressive. He hit .265 with 12 home runs. 12 home runs is a lot for a AA season, so I'm surprised his power barely went up. His vision did go up 8, which is a big deal. Heston Kjerstad led all AA players around the entire league in home runs with 21. His power went up dramatically as well, and I think Heston Kjerstad could be a major leaguer as soon as possibly the summer of 2022. Hudson Haskin was a little bit disappointing. Christian Robinson, who we acquired at the deadline, was also a little bit disappointing. Kobe Mayo was really good, though. He hit 12 home runs, hit over 305. He'll probably start next year in AAA after having a really good season in AA. The pitching rotation is headlined by Grayson Rodriguez and DL Hall, both of whom are very good young pieces. Both of their walks per 9 are very low, which does concern me because you need good walks per 9 to be a good pitcher in this game. So if one of Rodriguez and Hall end up being successful, and if one of them's in our long-term rotation, I would consider that a success because I'm not overly confident that both of them will. So as long as one of them develop, I'd be pretty happy. The AA bullpen was pretty nah. I mean, there aren't a lot of guys in this bullpen who I think will be future major leaguers, so I'm not really that concerned with the AA bullpen because I think most of these guys are just going to be career minor leaguers. Let's take a look at the AAA squad. A lot of unique and talented players on this team. Ivan Cortez Jr. had a solid season, hitting .264. Heliot Ramos was awesome. .276, 16 home runs, 55 RBIs. He's only a 66 overall, but I think he could be an everyday major leaguer as soon as next year. Has good contact, great power, good defender. He's super well-rounded, and I don't know why he's only a 66 overall. I feel like his rating should be higher. Taron Vavra was solid, hit .240, 11 home runs, 62 RBIs. I don't think he's going to be Major League ready next year, although I do think he will be close. He still has a little bit of work to do with the bat, but his average did steadily increase throughout the season. Xavier Edwards also had a pretty solid season, bouncing around from AA and AAA with the Rays organization. Then once we acquired him, he pretty much stayed in AAA. Wasn't too bad, but wasn't great either. And then the bench as well, pretty solid. Yusniel Diaz was decent, .236, 5 home runs. Nothing spectacular, but not terrible either. Looking at the pitching rotation, Matthew Thompson was very solid, 3.36 ERA, 1.29 WHIP. I'm not sure if Thompson will start next year at the Major League team, but I do think he is very close to being Major League ready, and I would imagine he makes his debut sometime in 2022. It's just a matter of when. There are a few relievers I like in this bullpen a lot. Adrian Almeida had a nice year. He could be a major leaguer next year. Matthias Hundertwasser had a great season as the closer once we signed him midseason. He'll probably get major league action next year. So overall, I think there are a lot of super talented minor leaguers who could be challenging for starting spots very early into the 2022 season. So let's simulate forward in the playoffs now. The Giants and Angels win their wildcard games, so the 100-win Padres are done. The Yankees and White Sox win their ALDS series, while the Braves and Giants win theirs, so the wildcard Giants advance to the NLCS. Unfortunately, their Cinderella would come to a close as they lose in 5 games to the Braves. The Braves will be taking on the Yankees in the World Series. They take 6 against the White Sox. So it's a Yankees and Braves World Series, a very interesting matchup. And in the end, the 2021 World Series champions would be the New York Yankees. They beat Atlanta, I believe, in 6 games. So the Yankees are the world champions. Yuck. I do not enjoy saying those words. Yeah, the Yankees did end up winning in 6 games. Aaron Judge ended up winning playoff MVP for the American League. I believe it went to Freddie Freeman in the National League. Freeman's a free agent in the offseason. He's going to get paid the big bucks, whether that's by Atlanta or somebody else. And then DJ LeMahieu wins World Series MVP. He hit .385 with 4 home runs and 7 RBIs in the World Series alone. Even though none of us like the Yankees, unless you're a Yankee fan, I guess it is kind of cool to say that the world champion did come from our division. So that will end today's episode. Let me know what you think we should do in the offseason down in the comments below. It was a really exciting offseason. I can't wait to show you guys the moves that we ended up making. Hope everybody enjoyed the episode. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe along with liking and commenting. Greatly appreciated. And as always, have a good one. I'm out. Peace.